I'm doing Depth vs. Heard, pop culture, things like that. If you asked me like 3 or 4 months ago what's going to be going on after the trial at this point in December, I'd be like, I don't know, it'll be over, that'll be it. But we got this article from December 21st, 2022 from Newsweek. They are not stopping, so that means I am not stopping. And it says Amber Heard trial could deter abuse survivors because of what she endured. Now they're a broken record. This has been said for a long time. It's obviously not true. They don't take in consideration that these are two huge Hollywood stars. What they have to do is act like the common person. Any woman will be affected in the same way, and it's simply not true. If you believe this, well, you gotta think harder. Let's see what they got. Nice rings, by the way. Johnny's got a lot of rings there. All right, here we go. Amber Heard's experience in court after being sued for defamation by ex-husband Johnny Depp may deter victims of abuse from speaking out, according to a legal expert. Well, guess what? I'm a video making expert, and what I'm saying is you have to actually critically analyze this for the common woman versus the woman in Hollywood who does this where there's millions of dollars at stake and the husband is a multi-millionaire. All right? Not every guy who abuses a woman or doesn't abuse a woman will have this ability to go to court for 6 weeks. It's just not the same for the average person. But of course, they don't mention it because I guess Newsweek is somewhat of a rag these days. And I think in the past they weren't. I think they used to be kind of respectable. But all right. Heard 36 announced Monday that she would settle the case after a Virginia court ruled in favor of Depp 59, who had sued her for $50 million over an op-ed for the Washington Post from 2018. We knew that. She wrote in the op-ed that she was a domestic abuse survivor, but did not name her abuser, but it doesn't matter. You don't have to name the abuser when they're that famous. That's by law, by the way, not my opinion. Heard countersued for $100 million, but Depp's lawyers argued that it was obvious she was referring to the actor, and they were very, very right about that. And then they get into the fact she made a statement on Instagram. Okay, I guess it's big enough news to cover it. She's theoretically got 5.3 million followers, so I guess it's worth an article for them. But what they're doing here is they keep writing the same article and the same gibberish just so people who might not have seen it before see it now. Maybe they missed it a week ago, they see it now. Maybe they missed it 2 weeks ago, they see it now. Maybe they missed it a month ago, because this is like the 10th time here, then they'll see the smear now. Amber Heard was very clear in her statement why she settled. Heard did not want to prolong a process that had already proved very painful. Carl Tobias, chair in law at the University of Richmond, told Newsweek. Okay, Carl, thank you for that very, very brutally basic elementary school 6th grader opinion. She didn't want to prolong the process, or otherwise, she didn't want to go through it again. Fine, it takes an expert lawyer to tell us that. The law professor said the court verdict could send a negative message to family violence survivors about seeking legal action for their experience. Because like I said, if a woman who was actually abused, sought out legal advice, do you think her husband would have the resources to hire Ben Chu and Camille and go to court for 6 weeks? No. He'd be in the same boat she would be in. It would not be the same process. And if she was actually abused, then odds are justice would be served. The system isn't perfect, but usually when someone's being genuine, we can tell. Heard's experience may lead other survivors of abuse to think very seriously about pursuing similar cases because of the difficulties that she and others have encountered, Tobias said. What the hell are you talking about, man? All right, so I'm assuming he's not talking about movie stars like Angelina Jolie, Evan Rachel Wood, things like that. I'm assuming the smear here is supposed to be to scare the public and make them think that Johnny did a bad thing by bringing this to court and the average woman and women on the whole will suffer. But if that's the case, those women will not face the difficulties Amber did in public because they are not famous. If a woman right now in Nebraska, randomly, let's just say Nebraska, I've got no idea why I said that, but let's just say a woman in Nebraska making 30 grand a year, wants to go to court about domestic abuse. That's not going to make a headline barely in her hometown, let alone a headline for someone to face scrutiny. Second, that woman probably would not have made a duty in a bed to make more big headlines. Third, that woman wouldn't have audio recordings that would get all over the internet even before the trial hit and get millions and millions of views. She'd have her case, it would be private, and they'd work it out in court, and it would be nothing like what Amber went through. But I guess this guy is an expert lawyer, so he knows better than us who can just take a pinch of common sense and figure it out. Great article, Newsweek. Just kidding. It's not. Let's keep going. Heard had appealed the court's decision in November with her legal team arguing more than a dozen errors they allegedly committed during the trial and called for the June verdict to be reversed or terminated in favor of a new trial. Now, also, pinch of common sense. Pretty much anything humans do is going to have some kind of error at some point, but it depends on the magnitude of that error. After 6 weeks of dozens of people going through info, getting things out there, sure, some mistakes will be made with everything in life. So that goes without saying. Of course, some things were gotten wrong, but the important things were right. And the important things were judged and figured out, and they got figured out, and the result of that was Amber Heard's loss in court. Anyway, short little article here, but I got to point out that the media is still going. So people come around here and say, oh, Amber's irrelevant. Well, she's not. Unfortunately, she's not irrelevant until the mainstream media stops reporting, until there's no articles about her, no videos on her from large platforms. Then she's not relevant. So they're keeping her relevant basically. Because what I do, what a lot of YouTubers do, is we're third-party reporting on mainstream media and big news. When we check the news for a video to make, if she's still there, well, we're going to keep covering it. If she's gone, if the big boys stop covering it, then yeah, we're going to move on. And in this case, with celebrity stuff, we're going to go with the flow. Let me know what you think down below. Doing shout-outs, special thanks, things like that. If you're not subscribed here, consider it. And if you don't consider it, I'll be sad, but I'll get over it. Done here for now. See you next time.